At the far end of the village stood a house on Thistle Hill. Its windows were always dark. Its garden had grown wild and tangled, and every child ran past that gate as fast as their feet could carry them. An old man lived there. His name was Old Hollis. Nobody could remember the last time he came into the village, but everybody had a story about him. "He has a heart of stone," the big kids whispered. "He chases children away. He never smiles. Stay far from that hill." So the 5 friends stayed away too. Lily, Maya, Ella, Daisy, and little Rosie. Every day they played in the sunny square, far from the dark house on the hill. But Rosie had a kitten, a tiny orange kitten named Pumpkin. And Pumpkin was not afraid of anything. One golden afternoon, Pumpkin chased a butterfly. Up the lane, through the tall grass, straight through the broken gate of the house on Thistle Hill. "Pumpkin, no!" Rosie cried, but the kitten was already gone. Rosie's eyes filled with tears. "My kitten went into the scary house. Please, somebody help me." The friends looked at the hill. The dark windows stared back like 2 empty eyes. Daisy stepped back, and even her bright smile faded. Nobody wanted to say it, but they were all thinking the same thing. What if the stories were true? What if the old man really was cruel? "We cannot leave Pumpkin in there," Rosie sobbed. "She is so small. She will be so scared." For a long moment, no one moved. The wind rustled the tall grass. Somewhere up the hill, they heard the faint cry of the frightened kitten. Rosie's tears fell harder, and the sound of it was more than any of them could bear. Then Maya stepped forward. Maya was never one to run from trouble. "I will go," she said. "A friend is in there. I am not leaving her behind." Lily took her hand. "Then I am coming with you." And Ella, who could never let a friend go alone, came too. The 3 girls walked up the hill. The grass whispered around their knees. The old door creaked in the wind. Maya pushed the gate, and what she saw made her stop still. Behind the wild grass was a garden. Not a dead garden. A beautiful one. Rows of flowers in every color. A little pond. A wooden bench, freshly painted. And there, on the bench, sat Old Hollis. In his hands was Pumpkin, safe and warm and purring. The old man looked up. His eyes were tired and kind. "Is this little one yours?" he asked softly. "She was frightened. I gave her some milk." Rosie ran up the hill and threw her arms around her kitten. "You saved her," she breathed. Old Hollis smiled. It was a small smile, like a door opening after many years. "People do not come up this hill," he said. "Not for a very long time." Maya looked around the garden. In the corner stood an old wooden chest. Its lid was open, and inside were toys, dozens of them. Wooden horses, painted tops, little carved birds, all made by hand. "Did you make these?" Maya asked. The old man nodded slowly. "I made them for the children of the village, long ago, but the children stopped coming, so the toys just wait here. And so do I." Ella felt her heart ache. "Why did everyone say you were cruel?" Old Hollis looked at the hill, and for a moment his eyes grew wet. "Many years ago I lost my wife," he said. "One evening I stood in this garden, calling out. I was calling the name of our old cat, who had wandered off. A child passing by heard an old man shouting in a dark garden. He ran home afraid. And the story grew and grew until I became a monster in every tale. But I never chased anyone. I only ever wanted a friend." The girls stood very quiet. All those years, all those cruel words, and none of them were true. "You are not a monster," Rosie said. "You are the kindest man I ever met." That evening, the 5 friends did something the village had never seen. They walked back down the hill holding baskets of wooden toys. They knocked on every door, and they told the truth about the man on Thistle Hill. Some people did not believe them at first. Fear is a hard thing to let go. But then a boy named Digby stepped forward, his face pale. "It was me," he said quietly. "I was the child who ran home that night. I made up the story. I never knew he was calling his cat. I was only scared, and I let the lie grow." The village fell silent. Digby looked up the hill. "I am sorry," he said. "I want to fix it." The next morning, something wonderful happened. Families walked up Thistle Hill, slow and unsure at first. Then children ran ahead through the once wild garden, laughing as they went. Old Hollis stood by his chest and handed out his wooden toys, one by one, his hands shaking with joy. For every toy he gave, a child gave him a smile in return, and each smile seemed to make him stand a little taller. The dark house was not dark anymore. Laughter filled it, flowers filled it, and an old man who had waited so many long and lonely years finally had his friends. Rosie sat beside him with Pumpkin in her lap. "Were you lonely all this time?" she asked. "I was," he said gently. "But loneliness ends the moment one brave heart knocks on the door." Maya smiled at that, because she had been that brave heart, and bravery, she learned, was not about who was strongest. It was about who was willing to look past the fear and find the truth. From that day on, the house on Thistle Hill became the happiest place in the whole village, and no child ever ran past its gate in fear again, because the friends had learned something they would carry forever. Never judge a person by the stories others tell. A quiet door is not a cruel heart, and the ones the world calls frightening are so often just waiting, quietly, to be loved. Sometimes the greatest treasure is not gold at all. It is a friend nobody else took the time to find.